Goodness gracious. Good morning, folks. Welcome to another live stream. What are we doing today? We're talking about Bitcoin. We're going to talk about trend identification and what we need for the proper continuation of trend. So let's start off by looking at Bitcoin. Yeah, I was looking at Tron here for a second. It's a decent enough chart. However, if I'm going to make a clickbait title, I might as well address the content in the first few minutes here. Important to note, we should quickly look at the daily benchmarks because honestly, I just haven't done that yet. Oh, I don't need to load the mean version of A settings, excuse me. I have too much on my chart. Hold on. Okay. And then I'm just going to switch this from custom to default. Beautiful. Let's see what this looks like. All right. We're getting rejected on the daily 50 moving average. So you guys, this is why you need to do this. If you take the time to look at your institutional benchmarks, well, they're going to treat you very nicely, right? Honestly, if you longed from above the 50 moving average and you shorted from below the 50 moving average, you probably would have made more money than you did this year. Or at least you wouldn't have lost as much money. And sure, that doesn't really tell you how to take profit. But really, guys, just moving averages, at least on the daily chart. If you just trade moving averages on the daily chart, you're going to be very well off. And excuse me while I open up the comments on my phone. 1 second. But always check your institutional benchmarks, folks. There's no reason you shouldn't. The information up here is golden. Yeah, so that is a rejection on the 50 daily moving average. Again, I'm still expecting a retracement down to, you guessed it, the weekly 200, and then we'll load up a Bollinger Band to match what that looks like here. We're just going to change that to 1400, and we'll take a look at where that lands us. Okay. That's a very aesthetic chart. Although I might change the orange line, it's a bit grating in my opinion. And the regular blue band could be something a little bit more spicy too, but you're here to learn about charts, not aesthetics. Okay. Actually, while I'm talking about aesthetics, putting orange next to, or rather putting the opposite of a color, like the exact opposite on a color wheel, on a picture or a chart or a frame, it implies unrest. And if you, it brings to mind the game Hollow Knight a while back. There was like the Forgotten Crossroads where everything was purple, much like my chart. But as soon as like the orange infection came its way through, well then you instantly knew something was wrong. It was excellent game design having an opposite color on the chart. So orange right next to blue and purple, it's aesthetically unpleasing in my opinion, or at least it doesn't imply ease. And if I am in the business of throwing confidence, my chart aesthetic should at least reflect a state of ease. Right, okay, there's my shower thought for the morning. Anyway, rejecting off the 50 moving average, very nice. Bouncing down to the weekly 200, I am still expecting further rejection down to that value. Very nice. Yes, I know we tethered out a good week ago, but you know, I've got about half of my positions actually open. I made about like 4% on my portfolio this week. It's pretty cozy. I took a position on BNB. It's really nice. However, I was talking about identifying the start of a new trend, so let's actually talk about that. I'm just going to have one band visible, this one, and we're just going to adapt it to the longest overexpanded period to see how it's compressing around price right now to figure out what our benchmarks are, at least for this compression. Okay. So we're actually going to go into the 1 hour chart to measure this compression because I am looking for a more exact value, and if I recall correctly, it is around 28. 280. Okay. Excellent. So we will trade laterally as defined by the 280, 295. I don't remember the exact number. Let's do 290. Let's go in the middle, you know? So 290. That's 190. Okay. 1 second. 290. Okay. So this upward move was considered the 290. The difference is now we have very, very low volatility overhead as determined by the wave PM. So with that information in line, as soon as a new expansion begins, we can expect significant trending to be sustainable in that direction. And we will identify those pivots as above or below this relative band. Now, taking any positions during this lateral chop is going to be very risky because the benchmarks in the top and the bottom edges of the band no longer truly support the compression, okay? Because we have very low volatility overhead and we have compressing bands, well, the lower the wave PM readings, the more likely we are going to break out of the bands. If we take a look at this section over here, we had very high volatility overhead, so during this compressing band, we did expect significant lateral trading for the duration, okay? But now, because we have no volatility overhead, new trending can begin as we would require unsignificant force to move unsignificant mass. The less mass you have, the less force is required to actually move price in a sustainable direction. And that's going to be true for every time frame and every period. So if we actually pop over here on the 4-hour chart, we actually notice from the previous plume of upward expansion, due to this huge downward move that was comparable to the beginning of the year, we can actually assume that there's a large amount of volatility overhead on the higher time frames with the longer periods. What that means is it's going to be very hard for price to expand upwards, or rather the short-term periods to expand upwards, conversely to the longer-term compressing distributions, okay? So this scenario is going to be very difficult because of the amount of volatility overhead provided from the previous large move. That's why I think that the new expansion is actually going to be the downside towards the weekly 200 mean. All right, guys? So this whole perspective here is not ideal. All right? I want to wait to the start of trending to actually make a bet. Again, short positions I do think are going to be superior since we have just been rejected off the weekly 50 moving or the daily 50 moving average. And I do expect that long-term target of the daily 200 moving average to be retraced to find our bounce point so we can have a period of lateral trading, which will allow the compression of midterm distributions. So that big blue band there, price is just going to go sideways. And then this band is going to slowly compress around price, which will allow the shedding of mass of our longer-term distributions so that the short-term distributional subsets will have the opportunity to see new upward expansion once the correct conditions are met to allow for sustainable growth or at least midterm mean reversion on the 4-hour and daily charts from this large overexpansion from the previous downward move. Okay. That was quite the rant. I'm going to go in the comments here. I have someone named Nick saying hello. Yes, that is correct. Hello. I haven't eaten breakfast. I have a guitar at Guitar Center. So I'm going to go pick up my guitar pretty soon here. I'm pretty excited for that. And yes, I am condensing a bunch of information to a very short period of time here, and I am enjoying myself. So I'm going to take a look at BNB since I did call that yesterday. I'm going to load up that chart. And yes, it was a free call. Please just follow my Twitter, my TradingView. And you guys will be good to go for determining my long positions or short positions, right? We actually had sufficient retracement value to take a long position here on BNB. If I hit play, guess what happens? We do see a nice upward move. Why? Well, because we saw a sufficient retracement amount. If we go ahead and load up the BNB chart, BNB BTC, one moment, please. Awesome. And we pop ourselves down to the 1-hour chart, and we take a look at the overexpanded mass. Guess what we're going to see? Let's actually just wait for the mean reversion MA to load. Actually, I might have this one open as well, because I do want to adjust it to the most recent period of overexpansion. And as soon as it's done with this, I'll take a look at XRP. Okay, for this relative plume, we are looking at a value of 70. So guess what happens when we change this to a 70 moving average? Probably not much. Yeah, I'm sorry. I looked at the wrong period of mass. We actually want to look at here 180. Excuse me. One moment. Take a look at the 180 period. very clean. All right. So if we see that significant bounce on the longest overexpanded period after this retracement like we just saw here, right, you can set up a very high profit ratio kind of trade. And actually, I might take short-term profit in the relatively near future because expansion up above the top edge of that band, at least I would find that unlikely. So let's just set a short-term alert for our take profit. If you see price approaching 1600, I would take some short-term profit on BNB. And at least I might reduce my position size at this current moment. Yes, we are in a sustainable trend as defined by the higher periods. But again, this kind of compression around price does provide significant resistance, right? Since look at this one. This band that was compressing up here, if I loaded up whatever this period was, I think it's 450, 500, right? This band is going to compress price. It's going to trade laterally as defined by the compressing band until volatility overhead is sufficiently reduced to allow for a new breakout of upward trending. So I'm going to anticipate a move like this for the remainder of BNB. It's going to do a quick blip down, retest that mean perfectly. It's going to come back up, edge itself along the top edge of this band for rejection for a secondary test of that value, and hopefully an upward break. That's what I would hope for. So this is a nice chart. I did enter yesterday, about 24 hours ago. I did make this call in the last live stream. Now let's actually talk about XRP. I do recall that a lot of you are pushing for XRP in the chat. I did do some lurking this morning. But let's actually talk about what I don't like about it. Okay, let's wait for our indicators to load up. And allow me to get a chewy bar. I'm pretty hungry here. Okay. Vanilla almond is the best, by the way. Okay. Okay. We are looking at the 120 period. One moment. Okay. So, again, I'm not in a long position. I stopped out yesterday. Let's talk about why. Right? Because as soon as we broke this moving average right here, here's what we did. We went down, we retested it from below, and now we are beginning a downward trend. Boom. Okay, it's going to be a short-term downward trend. Let's actually define how quickly we can drop here, or rather how far. I'm guessing we're going to drop about 2.7%. And then the lowest we'll drop is to that pink line there. But I stopped out of this trade for a reason, guys. If I stop out of a trade call, you should not re-enter the trade call. It's very, very important. So, again, sufficient retracement will be around that level. And then we just got to wait for that nice pop upward, hopefully. Right? Because this trend will be defined as sustainable, as it has been sustainable. So let's just set our alert for a long position right around there. That's good. And I'm pretty satisfied with that. Let's get any final questions in, because I want to go get my guitar. Oh, this is, you asked for the USD pairing. Excuse me. That's my fault. Wait a second. Yeah, I'm even more bearish on this chart because I'm bearish on Bitcoin. Remember that. It's very important. Let's take a look at the 350 period real quick, and then we'll be on our way. One moment. 350. Yeah. Actually, guys, this is kind of nice, right? Let's talk about this. We saw our mean reversion right at this location. As soon as we entered that band, we reverted to, you guessed it, the 350 moving average before rejecting down, and now we're trading laterally as defined by the band. All right? Favorite quote, leave the chop to the chumps. Yeah, Frank, that's a good idea. You should enter the trade when it re-enters the pink line. Although, I'm bearish on its USD value. However, Bitcoin at least looks bullish when it hits that target. Okay. And then yeah, I did call ARN. Hold on. Yeah, I just kind of anticipated this too. Trade in range. That's good. I mean, this is still bullish. Let's see how far actually this has gone up. ARN is up, I don't know, about 3%. Looks good to me. Profit ratio still there. I mean, it was just so compressed I had to bet on the bullish break. I'm going to take a look at Nano. Okay. Let's go ahead and take a look at Nano BTC. Yeah, this is just going to compress laterally. We saw our short-term mean reversion. Looks very similar to the previous chart we just looked at. I guess we can define our swing low. Although, I'll be honest, we have sufficiently compressed for the volatility overhead to no longer matter. However, we'll take a quick look at the 110 period to be sure. Because I'm pretty sure we're trading laterally as defined by the 110. So, might as well just take a quick look at this and then be on our way. 110. Okay. That's rare. We actually broke through the bottom edge of that band. Even though there's still, well, yeah, there's still volatility overhead. That's atypical. Right, since you could have taken a long position right here at the bottom edge of this band, because you would expect lateral trading as defined by the band. So let's actually see how far this ran up. Yeah, that would have been a good 3.5% scalp. Now, this might even begin a new downward trend because it's broken out. So, I would leave this one alone, guys. I'm going to take a look at ZIL, because you guys keep on asking me about coins, and I have to oblige. Okay. Nice. No, I missed an entry yesterday. That was really clean. Okay. Yeah, this is technically defined as a trend. It's a good chart, mate. How would we define entry, though? That's the important question. So let's set up a lower time frame. Yeah. No, actually, that's pretty clean. 110 period. I already have a 110. Right, as soon as we enter the band, this would have here would have been your take profit signal. We retraced to the mean, traded laterally, as defined by that compressing period. I actually don't care about this blue band right now because that's just volatility overhead. Steven, yeah, if you have, say, an upward break here and a retest with a CCI rollout, that's going to be a very good potential long position since we are seeing this starting to weight to the upside. Yeah, if you see a short-term CCI signal roll up, I would be pretty bullish on this chart. At least when it's actually broken up. So we'll take a look at XLM. Yeah, I mean, mean inversion is implied here, right? With this re-entry of this band, and we would expect lateral trading as defined by the band. The problem is the bottom edge of the band just keeps getting lower. Lateral trading as defined by the band could mean anything, right? It can still keep on dropping. So, I mean, if you're a risk taker, sure, take a long position on any of these CCI rolls, and eventually you'll be correct with the mean reversion. Your upside is, oh, that's only 10%. Yeah. That's not very appetizing. And I guess for your swing low, you're going to have to put it below the bottom edge of your band. So I actually would not recommend a position of this at all. Yeah, sure, the mean reversion's implied, but the entry signal has failed repeatedly, and that's not really ideal for trading. Okay, folks, this has been fun. That's going to be it for today. I'm out. I'm seeing you. Like this video, subscribe to my channel, and comment. Leave a comment on what you think Bitcoin's going to do. Okay? All right, folks. I will see you all later. Have a good one.